10th year anniversary. With the passing of that there, we begin the celebration of the 10th year of League of Legends esports, which will culminate in 2020 in Shanghai. What an incredible intro. 12 months away, but woo, no time to breathe. You guys ready to go?
Okay, quick, lightning round. Is China good enough that they can break the curse that on home soil they can lift the trophy?
Yes. Oh, yes, they definitely are. They produce talented teams every split, every year, and next year it's only going to get more competitive at the top of the LPL. I cannot wait to see what they bring to the table next year. It's going to be difficult for the rest of the world.
If it wasn't already very clear with last year's dominant victory, I think FPX have cemented it here with their 3-0 that the LPL is the most dominant region in the world, and they'll look to maintain that form going into 2020.
Exactly. We thought beating SKT in the semifinal was harder than beating the defending world champions in IG. Turned out we were completely wrong because FPX had a million plays like the ones we're seeing right now. They could go to any lane, wherever they wanted to in the early game. They could pull off insane little combos like the Kaiser ulti here to get away from 4 people.
And there's no weak point. There was no place that you could attack FPX. You couldn't hit him in the draft. You couldn't hit him in the bot lane. You couldn't hit him in the top lane. Everyone stood tall on this team. And when you're more than the sum of your parts, and all of your parts look like superstars on the day, that is how you get this type of 3-0.
I feel like we saw very traditional FPX. I feel like we saw the roaming mid. We saw the combination of Tian and Crisp, and it really did feel like even though you knew it was coming, there was nothing you could do to stop it. And that is what made this team so terrifying and so successful in this finals.
And I think a big part of that, Vetty, was the fact that they kept winning skill checks. They had the basically blind pick champion for Doinby in the mid lane, and then Caps was unable to become mobile against it, and he got to roam. They had 3 different bottom lane duos that G2 tried to answer, and G2 was unable to answer that every time. In part because Doinby was roaming down, but overall and across the map, they were winning the skill checks and then also were able to convert the team.
I mean, you talk about skill check. What about trust falls? The fact that Doinby just launched himself at LWX, and LWX didn't buckle at all. He's like, yes, I got you.
Well, that feeling is going to stick with them forever. I can guarantee that. But Jat, if we roll all the way back to the top of the day, talking about what might be the difference makers in this series, there was conversation around that mid lane. There was conversation around Doinby and what he would step to the table with. That was a known quantity. How would G2 respond? And it did end up breaking the series in some fashion.
And I think there will be a ton of analysis to do after this series and criticisms to be thrown towards different things. But if you're playing against this team, you do not want to concede early game mid push because they will crush you. And Pyke and Nautilus conceded the early game push. Tristana and Rise was unable to create early game push, and Vigar can't move. So the 3 champions the Caps played were not to the tournament meta that had developed and were not towards G2's strengths. And all of those things were in an attempt to answer Doinby, and they failed.
I mean, I think that if G2 have a run at this series again, they don't make that same mistake. I think that's the easiest thing to take away. But even if they change it up, I don't know if it's good enough to still be FPX. This version of FPX, even on G2's best day, probably would have slammed that door.
Because you look down to the bottom lane. You look at that 2v2. One of the things we highlighted coming in as well was the support matchup.
Yeah.
Crisp won that matchup so hard.
Crisp was so good.
Every single game. No matter what he ended up playing, he took the blind pick, thresh it, throw whatever you have at me. I don't care. I can create plays. I have the lantern to save my teammates. In every skirmish, he's there. He played like the best support in the world.
That Galio ultimate into Lantern escape from the Baron pit in Game 3 was mind-boggling. An absolutely stellar performance out of him, but again, as we mentioned, so much a team effort, you know, for Fun plus Phoenix. That has been their identity all season long. But we do have to talk about one more. That would be our MVP.
Oh yeah, the world's MVP.
Yeah, maybe we should talk about him. Tian in the jungle. So much of that early game, what we had teased might be, again, another difference maker.
I'm just going to throw it out there. I think he might ask for a Lee Sin skin. I feel like, considering how much power he had on the champion, it was something that he might go for, and it's
we'll
something
see.
that he got in every single game. His performance was incredible. We heard it when he was in that interview with Shockster. He said, I felt like I just did what I needed. But if you consider his performance the baseline, think about what it would look like if he was overperforming.
And if you told me before the series started that if Fpx win, Tien will be the MVP, I'd be like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, you know? Last year when Ning got the MVP, another jungler, we were super surprised. We didn't expect him to play that way, but Tien played the same way he's played all Worlds long. He's a step above the competition because not only is he mechanically able to pull off everything you need and he can play all these different picks, he's so smart. He's everywhere he needs to be.
He's 18. He's playing
That's unfair as well.
like an incredibly experienced jungler.
I mean,
it's not fair.
It is.
I want to
so we have
credit
6-7 years of this with Tien, basically.
possibly. I do want to credit the rest of FPX for this. We mentioned how Doonby's junglers always seem to be successful, and also I want to credit Warhorse, the coach of FPX, who coached Karsa and Sword Art, that legendary jungler support duo for 5 years, in helping these young players learn more about the game and basically turning this mechanical god with also Karsa's brain and become this unstoppable monster.
And while we, tout the accomplishments of FunPlus Phoenix, I think it is important to recognize the team on the other side of the rift, G2 Esports on home soil. They mustered quite a fight, but it wasn't enough on the day.
I think Vedia said it right, which is today's going to suck, tomorrow will be better.
Yep.
It was right in front of them. They should be very proud for how many steps they were, for how close they were, but in that same breath, because you were so close, this one is going to hurt, especially in the performance and the way that they did it. That was not G2's best. Jankos was invisible. Mickey was having a very rough series. Perks was getting skill checked left, right, and center. I don't know, fell apart.
And that's why it's going to hurt them more than anything. If they had lost playing at 100%, I think they would have been, okay, we just need to get better. But they know that they were not playing at their peak. They know that they could have done more, and I think that's going to hurt them the most. Because when you go up against a team like FPX who perform at that level, even the smallest mistake ends up getting punished.
But we said the same thing in the semifinal when IG lost to FPX. Oh, if they just played at 100%, they could have done more. Maybe FPX just make sure you can't. You cannot get to 100 because they will be able to match whatever you're doing. They can individually actually shut you down. They were always doing what G2 did to every team that played so far. Oh, we want to fight top? We're here as 4. You're not even close to being ready to match us. They were so good at creating numbers advantages. So I think they just make it super, super hard for you to feel like that you're actually playing at your top.
Throughout the series, we would see G2 start to set up plays that had worked against SKT, that had worked against Dom1, and they would back away, they'd find a way out, and then, unlike the other teams, they would turn it around on them. And I feel like after 2 games of that happening, G2 just kind of lost their motivation to go for plays. That's part of what happens when they pick the Veigar in Game 3. They say, our roaming isn't working, let's pick something safe and make them be proactive. FPX could do that too, so that's why I was a 3-0.
Tonight, the 2 best teams in the world stood toe-to-toe, but only one could remain at the end of it all, and that would be FunPlus Phoenix of the LPL. Before we sign off, though, here's a message from Shanghai's Vice Mayor, the gracious host of the 2020 World Finals.
全球英雄联盟的选手和召唤师们，我代表上海市政府，热烈欢迎第10届英雄联盟全球总决赛正式落户上海。让我们2020相约上海，共同感受电竞的激情，一起为电竞加油。See you in Shanghai.
Again, I can't say anything, but I can't wait to be in China next year to watch this all unfold again. Back-to-back titles for the home region, looking to defend it once again and maybe achieve that all coveted three-peat.
And is LPL strong enough to break that curse? Because we feel like the home crowd never gets to lift up the trophy. Could be this time.
Yeah, they will definitely be favorites. I still think with what we've seen in the past 2 years, it's definitely not a certainty. I think we saw 3 LCK teams win their group stage. We've seen Europe make it to finals 2 consecutive years as well. everyone is going to be re-gearing up. It's disappointing now for G2. They'll be back. Everyone's going to be going to Shanghai trying to win.
I just want week 1 of spring in every region so we can start seeing, okay, who can actually start moving towards Worlds. MSI first, then Worlds after, and actually compete for the trophy, because at this point, all the major regions can do it.
Thank you for keeping us on track, Deficio. I know I can always count on you for that. Before we go to the Axe big moves from all of Worlds 2019, I'd like to say thank you from all of us here. Thank you so much for tuning in throughout all of Worlds. Thank you to the fans in Berlin, Madrid, and Paris. We'll see you next year, and good night.
Hello and welcome to the 2019 League of Legends World Championship.
I think it can be a wake-up call to the rest of the world. This play-in tournament matters.
Can they find a team fight is the question.
Oh, what?
The Baron down to one. Stolen with a Void Seeker.
What the bloody hell is going on in this game?
Saros now is going to be the dessert. Can they actually grab it? Slow's going to go down for the good of the colony, and Saya misses the Q. Oh no, it's a disaster. Saros with the outplay.
He's going to ult right back onto North Scarin. Big damage! It doesn't feel like the Unicorns ever left Berlin. Unicorns, this must be their moment to fight. Humanoid goes golden at the perfect time. Now needs to escape. No Man's so incredibly low. Eyes in the dark sphere. Where's it going to go? The shutdown comes through, and that's it. In game 5 again, just barely out of his reach.
The play comes out, but the Cataclysm follows him. Pilot goes down. A quadra kill for the clutch AD carry. In convincing fashion, they will make it to the World Group stage.
Can't find it. He goes down the lane. There's one kill. There's two. He pulls it off with the quadra kill. Dismounted. He's all around with attack. Just gets Scarlet. Time to ignite. Goku can't get out.
Managing to survive for the moment. Toss sticking down. 3C +1 in the 2v1. You do not fight. 3C in his lane.
Uzi flashes forward.
Feathers fly!
And when it matters most, the star for RNG, Uzi comes up clutch.
Oh, the ignite is burning. Rookie back on top, and he solo kills Jensen. There's nothing he can do. There's nothing Team Liquid can do.
This team was put together for international success. They would have hoped for so much more on the world stage.
For us more experienced players, either you win the entire thing or it doesn't matter how far you went. If you look at the theory of it, I feel like G2 should be the favorites.
G2 have looked the best by far.
But then again, I also know that when the tournament starts, everything that you've done before and every theory you have is out the window.
Spice, they will not be stymied. They will not be stopped. They are going to Madrid.
Baker willing to go right back under tower.
Fnatic eliminates RNG. All 3 European teams make it to the knockout stage.
The best team in the world doesn't complain about hard groups because they are what makes the group hard.
Wait, no, they're going for more. Oh, they're all going. SKT playing them out right, and they find the next. Griffin has officially arrived. Down 1 from challenger to taking down the defending world champion. All 3 LCK teams are first.
我觉得这一次就是年轻战队们都是和老人战队们对战一样。
FPX are doing what they can to survive.
I knocked this guy, Fly, Phoenix, fly!
Dorby! It's going to be a dead Fnatic. Super carry of the LPL steps up.
Now, another twist of the night.
Jumping inside the pit, forced away, they get a jump back to the spawn. Oh, 4K health, the Shy in the backline. The defending world champions are here to play.
What you gonna do now?
It's already a 2 for 0, 5 reels of time, but one finally comes through. It's up to Jacula, but he gets Sniper. That's the full pentakill.
So are you gonna die today?
Jacula in, and he knocks down Sword. Invictus Gaming will knock down Griffin in the quarter.
Gaming out of the tournament, and G2 will move on to the semifinals for the MSI rematch versus SKT, the last of the LEC versus the last of the LCK. There are no weak players left standing at the 2019 World Championship.
To be the best, you must go through the best.
Oh, the kick over the wall, Clint! Wow! Putting on a Lee Sin clinic. Back into that ultimate. Faker now step forward. Faker now gets taken out. Faker, what was that? Cap goes golden. There's no one else to follow up. Cost damage doesn't matter. Such a close exchange. For now, they're winning, but Perks is coming in.
So are you gonna die?
This could be the game. It's the right moment. Faker is gone. Mod is coming in. He's just walking into the meat grinder of Perks. Caught. Can he do it? Not enough. They've done it. They're going to lead to. This is it. The greatest team in the history of League of Legends. Taken down by the greatest team Europe has ever produced.
The dramatic, supreme display of talent. Doinby's unstoppable.
This is LPL action, baby. Let's go.
Do it. There it goes. Divine judgment from the defending world champion. Chain of corruption starts to spread. Divine judgment is not used.
LWX, he snaps his fingers and half the LPL teams left at Worlds disappear.
Bonjour Paris! Voici venu le moment d'accueillir vos deux finalistes. Fan Blues Phoenix! G2 is The Sivir is terrifying. There goes the teleporter. Tian, you beauty! Now Tian is going so low. Yengos repels up, comes down, gets killed. It's a jungler for jungler trade, and now Perks is blown up. He doesn't have the charge available. All of a sudden, Mickey's down. Oh, 2, 3, LWX can find the triple. Tian gets another. G2 are aced at 22 minutes. It's LWX that does so, but it's at the cost of Chris Blind. Heroes Entrance comes in, Doinby is chasing forward. That's already a kill onto Yankos. This could be it. It's going down.